Good evening, Broncos country. Give us a minute to get everyone to the party. Still breathing, still breathing. All right. And we're good to go. Welcome in, everyone, to another installment of the Orange and Blue View. I am your co host, Ron White. To that side of me, my fellow co-host Thomas Hall NFL, and you guys may see a different background. I'm actually in Miami for the game tomorrow, so it's definitely exciting. I've seen lots of Broncos fans here while I've been here, and we're ready to kick this match off tomorrow. But first, Thomas, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. I'm ready for another great Broncos pregame show. So I'm excited. This is what we've been waiting for all year, and now we're on our third one. We've done pretty well so far. I think we've hit some pretty good information out there. Came up with some pretty solid predictions. So I'm ready to roll, and I'm glad you're down in Miami. It's going to be fun. I hope the Broncos can pull off the upset for you while you're down there, because that would be great. Just don't get any fights in the stands or anything.
Yeah, yes, definitely. And again, thank you guys coming in. So we're going to hit a few folks here coming into the chat.
Yeah, we had quite a few people in here early, ready to go. We had C Chang coming in, saying Broncos, please win tomorrow. Coming in bright and early. So thank you for that. Thanks for being here.
Thank you
I
for
hope you're enjoying the pregame show. Ron and I put a lot of effort into these. We talk all week, talk about what we're gonna bring to the show. So I hope you are enjoying them. And let us know if there's a few things you want us to talk about as we continue to go through this. Hopefully the Broncos will start winning. So we'll have a little bit more positivity to sling around while we are doing these shows.
Yes.
Kevin Gray's coming in. Evening, Thomas and Ron. Big Mile High salute to Broncos country, Denver Broncos for life. Mile High Huddle for life in early as well. Thank you so much for being here. And we got Jerron Washington's coming in as well. He's reminding everybody that Jalen Waddle has been ruled out for tomorrow. We're going to hit on those injuries, but yeah, Jalen Waddle's ruled out, which hopefully will help the Broncos secondary. He says, the Broncos are also banged up. Unfortunately, we got Simmons. Justin Simmons is out. And of course, Caden Stearns was lost earlier. So they're down to De'Aaron Turner-Yell, and Kareem Jackson is probably going to get the start, but we might see the rookie that people have been talking about, J.L. Skinner, will probably be making his rookie debut. So, hold tight for that. I'm sure. I just can't imagine, Ron, that he would be an inactive. JL Skinner's got to be out there. They only got 3 safeties. They're going to use the Sang Bassey probably back there a little bit, but it's getting mighty slim in the Broncos secondary.
Yes, for sure. And we got Todd Ostendorf coming in. Thank you, Todd. Good seeing you, my man. He says, "Good evening, Thomas, Ron, Dylan, and Broncos country. Good evening to you as well, Todd. And hopefully you're ready for the game tomorrow. We need to get this win. We need to get in the win column."
Absolutely. It would definitely help out Broncos country feel a little bit better to get the win, upset, kind of get back in their winning ways. It would be really good. It's just, it's hard to see. And we'll get into our prediction towards the end of the show. But I'm going to give a shout out to Dominic Martin coming in saying, "Hey, Thomas and Ron, per usual, Orange and Blue View rocks." Thank you so much for that. We appreciate it for sure. Says, "Go Broncos," and I hope tomorrow is good news for the win column. Any given Sunday is the saying. Mile High Huddle for life. Optimistic. Yeah, I mean, Dominic, I thank you for coming in, and we all definitely appreciate you being here and saying these things. And I'm always optimistic, but I have gotten pretty down on this team the last couple of weeks. It's just I finally got to the point where I'm like, I'm just so tired of the losing. I couldn't pick them last week to win, even though that was a winnable game. And until they can prove that they can win these games, it's going to be hard for me to pick them to win going forward. But we do have some keys to victory that we're going to talk about, some matchups to look for. If they win their matchups, they could probably win this thing. There's a few things that we've got coming. We're going to do some predictions on some stats. So if you guys are fantasy football folks out there, if you want to, listen in and see what we got to offer. That's coming as well. So, but before we get into any of that, I just want to remind everybody that we are going to have a meet and greet week 7, Green Bay Packers game, Mile High Huddle. All the podcasters, I think all of the podcasters are going to be out there this time. I think everybody's going to make it. I'm pretty sure they are, unless something happens. So if you got your favorite podcaster, you just want to meet us, come out, say hi, shoot the breeze, talk football. We'll probably do a podcast, have a few fans on there. I think that's what they generally do when we're out there. So yeah, make sure you come out there, look for the big Mile High Huddle tent. We got more, more details that will come out soon, but right now that's all we've got. So any thoughts on that, Ron, before we jump into it?
No, yeah. So again, I am looking forward to seeing all of you guys on October 22nd in that matchup with the Green Bay Packers. Again, that big blue tent, Mile High Huddle. Come say hey to all of us, shake our hand, let's talk Broncos, and hopefully we'll get that win as well. But I'm looking forward. It's going to be a gas for sure, Thomas.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Gonna say hi to Quentin Carson coming in saying, "What's happening, my dudes? Good vibes. I needed to give the Broncos a chance." Oh, good vibes are needed. Sorry.
Oh.
I should get my glasses on, as I'm getting older, I can't read the fine print anymore, Ron. It's terrible. Anyway, someone's saying that Facebook is not working. I think we have all the streams in. I'm looking at it here on Facebook. We don't have anybody in the back checking on it. So, Scott's not here. So I don't know. I think it's working. We've got all the green check marks. If someone else sees that it's not working, let us know. But I think it is from our end. So I don't know. I'm not sure. So if someone else can kind of chime in, that would be help. Oh, Quinn Carson says it's working for him. So, maybe restart your browser or something like that. I don't know, but it looks like it's working for others. So I'm not sure what to do. So I apologize. Scott's not here. He could tell us, but so really apologize. All right. So let's get into this. I mean, we're 10 minutes in here, Ron. Let's start talking about some of our keys. How about our keys to victory? Maybe we can jump into that. You want to start off with one of your keys to victory?
Yes. So I would say one of the keys to victory would be Peyton deploying that short, quick passing game. I've been doing some film study, Thomas, and what I've seen with Fangio's defense is, they struggle with that short, quick screen game and those short passes. So, Peyton using that screen play to kind of mix things up. Obviously, I know there'll be some emphasis on running the football, but using that motion to get the screenplays going with Jerry Jeudy, Lil Jordan Humphrey. Also, those quick outs to Brandon Johnson, Troutman, Sutton, if you will, to kind of keep the Dolphins defense on their heels. So I would say deploying that early and often should help the Broncos at least try to score some points and keep this thing close.
Yeah. They've got to attack their weaknesses for sure. And I've got one too. But before I do that, I'm going to grab Phil McLaughlin here coming in from Facebook. Thanks for always supporting us here, Phil. We really appreciate it. Saying good evening, Thomas and Ron. Let's hope penalties are gone and our high price O-line performs. Yeah, that would be nice. Both of those things would be nice. Yeah. Mile High Huddle for life, buck 'em and go Broncos. Now I'm going to tell you, the O-line needs to perform, but my key to victory, Ron, is just going old school, just handing it off, running it up the gut, telling Lloyd Cushenberry, Ben Powers, and Quinn Miners that they got to win their matchups. Feed Javonte as much as you can, because I think that they can actually get 4.5 yards per carry up the gut in this game. And the reason I say that is because I've looked back and, the Broncos against better defensive lines have been able to average over 4 yards or 5 yards per carry already up the gut. And the Miami Dolphins are fairly weak in that middle center of their defensive line. I trust those three in the middle, and it's weird saying that because Lloyd Cushenberry is playing a lot better. I trust them better than doing the two on the outside. So that's my key to victory: is hand the ball off to Javonte, give him 25 carries, just have him run right up the gut and actually just have faith in the middle of your offensive line to do their job. Don't get fancy. Just run the ball and run it right at them, and just keep doing it until they can stop it. And I don't know if they'll be able to.
No, that's a good one, Thomas. And again, I have that as kind of one of my notes here to, again, be committed to the run. Having that run set up a lot of those play actions. I mean, we saw that last week, like when we were up 21-3. And, we were running the ball well with that play action, that deep bomb to Marvin Mims, which was just a beautiful pass. It can kind of help set up those plays, but you have to stick with the run. So you're right. That's also a weakness on this defensive line. They can just shoot in through these gaps and have the running backs kind of take over. So I actually like that as a key.
Yeah, and I'll tell you the game plans before. The defenses dictated the game plans before, right? And that's why there was some short passing. There wasn't a lot of commitment to the run right away. Plus, Javonte, he's getting his way back into this game. This is his third game. I think he looks good. Feed him the ball. Let's see what happens. I think they can come away with a solid performance in their running game, and it does two things, right? It gives them confidence. Number one, that they can go out there and just pound the rock, impose their will. But the other thing too is Dolphins are going to score points. Yeah. And if you can grind those long drives out, keep it close, you never know at the end. Just don't let it get out of hand. And you can do that by, really being very efficient in the running game. And then, as you set them up with them body blows, then maybe you hit something deep, something like that. But I want them to stay committed to the run. Mm-hmm. Now, sorry I couldn't get to Gary Palmer right away, but thank you, Gary, for the support, the super chat. Man, thank you. You're always so generous, and we can't thank you enough. I mean, words don't do it justice, but again, thank you so much, Gary. Gary says, good evening, Thomas, Ron, and Dylan. I didn't see Dylan in the chat, so he must be watching college football or something. I missed it. Maybe I missed it. If Dylan's here, we really appreciate it. Gary says, I hope we win, but I want the D to be better no matter what. Go Broncos and buck them. And now that's a good point, Gary, right? Because so far the D has let down the team. There's no sugarcoating it. They have not been able to stop the opposing offense, especially when it matters. And if this team's going to go anywhere, in this season or beyond, that D needs to step up and show that they can be a formidable part of this team. And if they can't, then it's going to be up to the offense. And it's a scoring fest out there. How many games are the Broncos going to win in a big high scoring contest? I don't know, but it's a good point, Gary.
Thank you, Gary, for coming in. We appreciate you, my man. And you're spot on, Gary. I don't even know where to start when it comes to our defense. I mean, last week's game was just an atrocity on defense. That second half. I don't know how else to put it. And They definitely need to step up. Now, I understand, they're weak at safety, right? So there are some things that you have to consider kind of going into this defensive formula. But, that shouldn't be the excuse as to why this defense cannot step up. I mean, we saw Sam Howell last week in his second road start, may I mind you, looking like Tom Brady. And it's like, come on, we cannot have that. So they're going to have to step up. I mean, we saw in the first quarter, like the pass rush, they were getting home. Gregory looked good, and nothing happened in the second half. So they need to play 4 full quarters of football on offense and defense. And not only with the players, because I know this has kind of been going on with some people believe, Thomas, that the personnel on the defensive side of the football for the Broncos isn't the best. And I kind of want to take issue with that. I will say we could have a little bit better personnel, but the reason why they're in these defensive positions that they are is because of Vance Joseph. We were not, I know a lot of us, I know you and me, Thomas, we were not big fans of Vance Joseph coming back to Denver. And now it's rearing its ugly head. So, he has to put these players in position to, be a good defense, make the play when it matters, and then we go from there.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not happy with Vance Joseph so far. I don't think many people in Broncos country are. He had to be excellent to wash away that stink from his head coaching career here, and so far it's not been good. Quentin Carson, thank you for the Facebook stars. Really appreciate that. Appreciate the support. Now we got Stu McPeak coming in with a big super. Thank you so
Thank you, Stu.
much, Stu, saying hi all. Can we contain Miami? Well, that's the $1 million question, I guess you would say. Can they? From what I've seen so far, no, they cannot. I mean, the Broncos have not been able to contain lesser offenses, so it's hard to believe that they can. But I'm going to go to my next key to victory, Ron. And the defense has been playing that kind of tentative, soft. We don't want to get beat badly. They're playing kind of off. It's just, it's the bend, don't break, but they end up breaking kind of mentality. But they cannot play it safe this time.
Yeah.
Against Miami, they cannot play it safe. They've got to be aggressive. They have to try to manufacture takeaways. The defense has to manufacture takeaways for a couple reasons. One, you have to give your offense more chances, right? You have to. The Miami Dolphins are going to score their points. The Broncos have to have more offensive chances. So by giving the ball back to their offense, that's a big benefit. But I went back and I looked at all of the games from last year that Miami played. If they lost the turnover battle, if their opponent was +2 in the turnover battle, they went 1-6. So if the Broncos can be aggressive, and I'm talking about taking some risks, not playing it safe, take some risks, go after the ball. If you're going to get beat, you're going to get beat. Don't get beat by playing not to lose. And it's unfortunate that Simmons isn't in there, because that was one of my keys until I realized he wasn't going to play. Like, Simmons was going to need to be more aggressive going after the ball. But I know that Pat Surtain's not an interception guy. He shuts his guy down, which is great and everything, but they're going to need to take a little bit more risks. I think the secondary is going to have to step up and try and get an interception. And the defensive players, number one, they've tackled better, but two, they've got to start punching the ball. They have to start trying to create a fumble, because so far I haven't seen that. I've seen it it seemed tentative to me. So that's my key. And that's how I think you have to be able to kind of contain Miami. They're going to score their points, but if they can do just enough to give the Broncos a couple extra chances, they may just outscore them.
Yeah. And Stu, thank you for coming in again, my man. We appreciate you as always. And that is a $1 million question, Stu. That's a loaded question. I will say, yeah, Thomas, I agree with everything you said, but again, it all starts up front. The Broncos are gonna have, I sound like a broken record, guys, because I say pressure the quarterback, but they're gonna have to pressure Tua, Gregory, Benito, those guys. They have, Jonathan Cooper, they have to get home. They have to try to knock Tua off his spot, knock the ball out, generate that fumble, generate that takeaway to give that ball back to their offense. But yeah, I agree. We need to steal one or two possessions in order for us to have a chance of winning this thing, for sure.
Yep. Let me give a shout out to Quinn Carson for more Facebook stars. Thank you for the support, Quinn. Really appreciate it. He's agreeing with that takeaway thing. So he says, I believe it's going to come down to the Broncos defense, bringing the heat, causing 2 interceptions and a fumble. If they can do that and cannot give the ball away, on an offense, they should be able to win that game. If they can do that, if they can pull that off, they can pull off what Quentin's saying, I think they win this game. I'm just skeptical that the defense can do it. But so I don't know. And I'm going to grab David McIlrath coming in. David, thank you so much coming in with a super chat. We always appreciate you being here. You're a fan of these shows, and we love it. We love it. We love seeing you here. So David says, good evening, Broncos country, Tom, Ron, Dylan, and Deacon Scott. Let's go fish hunting. All right. Sounds good. Fish hunting. 12-5. Still sticking with 12-5 with Mile High Huddle for life. Buckham, Denver Broncos for life. I'll tell you, David, the Broncos have to, if they're going to hit 12-5, they've got to turn it around now. They have to start winning, and they're going to have to go on some sort of win streak now. Starting 0-2 puts them behind quite a bit, really. I mean, they're not behind in the AFC West, but behind if they're going to get to 12 wins. So they're going to have to go on some sort of streak. If they lose this game, they're going to have to go on a massive win streak. They're going to have to go like 8-1 or 7-2 just to get back in the hunt. And that's the problem. Once you get down, it's hard to claw your weight back. It's happened. I went back and researched all the 0-4 teams a while back. If you were 0-4, I think there's only 7, if I remember correctly. It's been a couple years, 7 in history that went 0-4 that were able to get back. And all of them had like a big win streak in order to do that. And that's what the Broncos are going to have to do if they can't take this game.
Yeah. David, thank you for coming in. And, I still like that you're going with that 12-5. I, like Thomas said, they have to essentially almost run the table.
Yeah.
Or almost to get to that 12-5 because, they have put themselves behind just a bit. And, again, I think the next few games are very winnable, but then, you get into that tough meat of the schedule, of course, with Kansas City, and I think Buffalo's coming. So those ones, you're going to have to steal a few of those games as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this team can do it. Again, there's some things that still have to be improved. The penalties, the defense has to come to play. Those things, the execution, guys, is where I'm seeing this team fail. And until they can get that right, I don't want them to continue losing, but that has to change in order to do away with this losing culture. So
yeah. And I'll tell you this, Sean Payton, if he goes 0-3 or worse to start the season, the best he's ever ended the season is 7-9. Mm-hmm. Broncos country is tired of losing seasons. So you got to turn this around now. David Slosher Jr. is coming in saying, would like to see Drew Sanders get some play time as a rusher to shake things up. I think he should get more playing time because of what they were talking about in camp. If it was not lip service, if he's truly making a play that no one else can make, why is he sitting on the bench for the most part on defense? It's because they're playing it safe. Vance Joseph is playing it too safe. He wants the steady eddies in there that aren't impact players, and he's basically killing himself. He'd rather lose, lose the war rather than win the battle and lose the war kind of thing. And that's the problem, right? He's playing it too safe. Get Drew Sanders out there, see what he can do. Yeah, he's going to make mistakes. He's a rookie. He's going to make mistakes. But if he can make that one impact play that everybody's talking about, coaches are talking about in camp and all of that, get him out there. Let him play. I'm with you, David.
Thank you, David. And bringing in, I mean, again, you drafted him for a reason. You drafted him to help shore up the middle, be that dynamic coverage linebacker, use him in those pressure packages. He could only help the defense. I mean, hopefully the defense can't get any worse. So, yeah, David, I'm right there with you. Bringing him in and maybe not using him, to kind of rush every play, but again, some of those design pressure packages where you can have him kind of coming up the middle, he would be great for. And then again, line him up in the coverage. But, I would say that his talents, and I think what some people saw in camp, we're kind of missing that element from the field. So bringing him in on the field to do that, I think it'll be great.
Yeah. All right. Why don't you give us another one of your keys to victory, Ron?
Yeah. So my other key to victory is solid coverage. I would say more so zone. And I put solid coverage / bracketing Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Right. So I know obviously it's going to be Surtain versus Hill, but we all know with Tyreek Hill's speed, he needs some help.
Yeah.
Surtain's going to need some help. So I want to see, who Vance Joseph kind of uses with Surtain to kind of help with Hill, bracketing him in certain kind of containing that speed, using that zone coverage to, I know it'll probably open up some other people on the defense. I'm sorry, on the offense, like I think Barrios as well. But I think to really have a chance to win this game, I think the solid zone coverage should definitely help to contain Hill, and then some of these others will do well, but containing him, I think Thomas is the key.
Yeah.
And you have to be solid with the zone coverage to do that. So,
And you're not going to see Surtain on Hill all the time, because
oh,
in that Raiders game, Devontae Adams went up against Damari Mathis several times and beat him pretty badly. So, Vance Joseph hasn't had Surtain follow around their best receiver so far. He just, plays his defense, like I said, and just is hoping for the best. I don't know, but yeah, it's it's very very interesting so far. I mean, you got one of the best defensive backs in the league. Why not have him follow their best receiver? I don't know. I would, but that's what Champ Bailey used to do. He's in the Hall of Fame, but let Surtain earn his money, so to speak.
Yep.
My next key to victory is to run 21 personnel, 2 running backs and a tight end, and specifically have Manhertz play a lot. And that's the reason why I say this, because my key was running up the gut, getting those big uglies up front to move their guys, but give them a little support, put a fullback in and have Manhertz do some blocking. Just run it down their throat, really go, emphasize that we're going to run, and then go out and do it. And the best way to really do that is to go out there. And they went out and got a fullback for a reason, right? Use them. They went out and brought Chris Manhertz. They know he was not a receiver. They brought him in to block. Have them earn their money and run 21 personnel predominantly. Obviously you're going to have to change up the scheme a little bit, but give them a chance, right? Give them a chance to really run the ball and see what happens. That's all I want. That's all I want, is give them a chance, right?
Yes, definitely.
So what do you got any keys of victory left there, Ron, or do you want to move on to matchups or other things?
We can move on to the matchups. So my first matchup that I have is the Broncos linebackers versus Raheem Mostert. And I guess I'm looking at this matchup to see how Joseph, is able to use Josie Jewell and Alex Singleton, whether it be straight downhill or whether it be more in coverage to kind of help with some of that passing attack. I put in Raheem Mostert because, he did have a productive game against the Patriots last week. I think he rushed for like over 100 yards. I guess that's my thing of how will Vance Joseph use these linebackers? Because again, as we just alluded to with Tyreek Hill, a lot of the focus has to be there. And will he drop one of them in coverage at times to have the other go downhill to kind of contain with the defensive line for Mostert? So again, I'm just looking to see, if we can somewhat contain Mostert, especially on those short down situations, because that's when Tua's more likely going to hand the ball off. So just kind of containing them on the third downs for sure.
And where it starts by actually tackling them on the first try.
Yes.
I have been disappointed with the lack of good tackling. I feel like the receivers, the running backs seem to get extra yards. That bothers me. And the reason why it bothers me so much is I thought that was going to be a change, with Sean Payton, his style that he's emphasizing tackling. And it's not that you can't blame it on lack of tackling in practice, because everybody else has the same rules. And I've seen better tackling, and it's embarrassing to watch them miss tackles. And a lot of times, if they hadn't, they would have stopped them short of any gain. And then they just haven't been able to bring them down. And same thing with yards after catch. Yeah. Missed tackles, they get yards after the catch, where you sit there and you watch Adam Trotman or anybody else getting stuffed, right after they catch the ball, and they don't get those few extra yards that are necessary to get the first down. And I'm getting tired of it. So linebackers and everybody needs to tackle better. Yeah. It's just plain and simple. They have to tackle better. I'm going to tell you my first key matchup is Lloyd Cushenberry versus Raekwon Davis. He's got I still think Cushenberry, I'm not quite sold on him, even though I picked him as my surprise dark horse guy, back early on. I still want to see more from him. I want to see him being able to handle him in the running game. I think that's a key. I think Ben Powers and I think Quinn Miners has been playing incredible. And from my perspective, I think he's playing better. Ben Powers has the ability to play better. I want to see it from Lloyd Cushenberry. I think if he can handle Davis in the center, I think you're going to see a monster game from Javonte Williams.
Yep, it's a good one. That's a good one.
And then my next one, I'll just jump into my next one, Ron, because it's pretty obvious. It's Damari Mathis versus any other wide receiver that they can throw out there, because so far he hasn't been able to handle any of them. We identified early on that Jacoby Myers against him was going to be key, and Mathis had to stop him, couldn't do it. He still didn't look very good last weekend. He's lucking out because Waddle's injured, right? Waddle's not going to be there, so he's lucking out in that respect, but he has to win his matchup. He can't get beat. If Tyreek Hill's going to beat you, fine. Don't let somebody else beat you, because Damari Mathis can't do his job.
Yeah, you can't let Braxton Berrios beat you.
Right.
Like you have to hold up, dude. Like, yeah, again, we saw plays last week in the Commanders game. I was like, dude, what are you doing? So he has to try to turn this around. I mean, I've kind of almost been on that. Let's put in Riley Moss. I'm all kind of on that. I mean, it can't get any worse, right? So, he has to have a monster game. I agree with that 100%, Thomas. Yep.
I'm going to grab William Hayes coming in with a throwback to Atwater. I mean, one of my favorite players when I was younger, watching Atwater, and, as I got older too, because he played, throughout the 90s. I love Atwater. He says Atwater was saying that everyone needs to hit the big bag at least once a week during practice and make these dudes do push-ups when they have a penalty. Yeah, some accountability, right? Like, why? I thought there would be a lot more accountability. And, we've talked about it, Ron. When Sean Payton came in, we're like, okay, this is going to be a different team. They may not win every game, but they're not going to be committing a bunch of penalties. They're not going to have all these mental errors. And here they are doing it again. And I don't want to be the negative guy anymore, but I wrote about it. I think the reason is that these players have gotten used to losing. Losing becomes a habit, and they continue to make these mistakes, right? These same mistakes. You change the coaches, they're still making the same mistakes. And that is a problem, and they need to change their mentality. And that's all there is to it. They have to somehow change the mentality. If this is what it takes, Atwater saying you got to go do this, then go do it. Do something. Change your mentality and make sure you're out there, doing the right thing. Don't mess up. Don't make the mistake. That's the problem. There's too many mistakes. And Ryan Slavic's coming in saying, agreeing with you, he'd start Riley Moss instead of Mathis. So give him a shot. I mean, why not? The problem is, Ron, like I said, Vance Joseph is playing it too safe. He's not going to do that. He's only going to play rookies when it's a necessity, right? Now he has to play JL Skinner. It's a necessity. He wasn't going to take any chances. Well, so far that method and that philosophy isn't working. Go take some chances. Go get some freaking turnovers. Do something.
Yeah, got to do something. Got to do something for sure.
Yeah. And Austin H is coming in agreeing with me, so I got to pop it up here if you're going to agree with me. Of course, it says, agree, Tom. They're mostly losers. Losers don't win, and the Broncos right now are just losers, unfortunately. Yeah. And that's what it is. I mean, I wrote the article, started it out with the Vince Lombardi quote. Winning is a habit, but unfortunately so is losing. There are only there's only 5 now because of these last 2 losses. Randy Gregory was 2 games over 500, and now he's at 500. There's only 5 player starters on this roster who have had a winning record for their career. That's terrible. That means they only know losing, and that has to change. And that starts with an attitude. Get a different attitude. Go out there and think you're going to win, not go out there and try to win. Go out there and do something. And I'm tired of seeing this happening over and over.
And great points, Thomas. And to add to that, what I've noticed is every time the Broncos screw up, or if there's a bad play, they get into a funk.
Yep.
And someone, obviously that falls on Sean Payton, the head coach, but they get into this funk of, well, this one bad play is going to determine the outcome of the game. And then you start to see even more dumb penalties. You start to see, bad plays, defense giving up yards, and then they end up with this losing. So I think that mentality also needs to kind of be ingrained. And Broncos fans, I also think it's going to require a little bit more time. I know a lot of people were hoping that, you know, with the wink of the magic stick from Sean Payton, that these things would kind of just turn around this year.
Yep.
Well, yeah, that's not the case. It's going to be, maybe another season or two to really kind of have the culture, the identity of this team change before you start to see the success that we're hoping for.
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. All right, I'm going to go with my last matchup, Ron, because I'm itching to talk about it. I wanted it to be Justin Simmons versus Tua, but he's out. So I want to see something from De'Aaron Turner-Yell, right? I mean, he's got some playing time. They've kept him around for a reason. I want to see what he can do. Go out there, be aggressive, try and get a pick. I remember when Caden Stearns came in as a rookie and got a big pick in one of the games. I'm hoping that De'Aaron Turner-Yell can actually take that next step, right, and become a true NFL player. He's been in there in spots, he's done okay. I want to see him take that next step. He has to in this game. If they're going to win this game, they have to have some takeaways. And I want to see De'Aaron Turner-Yell get one. He needs to go out there and bait Tua into something that he create a mistake. He has to, and it's going to be tough. I mean, I'm not confident that he can do it, but I want to see him do it. And if he can, I think that would be a big step into them winning that game.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think that's a good one. Hopefully, he can come into this game tomorrow, be aggressive, like you said, bait Tua, get him to turn the ball over. But yeah, again, he was a good prospect out of college. What we've seen on the field has kind of been below average to average, but I just hope he can come in and kind of take over. Right, it's his time to shine now, and I hope he can kind of live up to it at least for this game because we're going to need him. Again, we need all hands on deck.
Yeah,
We need all hands on deck for this game. So
absolutely. All right, what do you got? Who do you got left on your matchups, Ron?
So my next matchup is going to be Jerry Jeudy versus Xavier Howard.
Okay.
Yes. So I'm curious. I'm looking forward to seeing because I've done some work on Xavier Howard, and he's had a terrific season so far, but he has been penalized about 3 or 4 times now. So on a lot of those deep passes, I'm hoping that when Jerry Jeudy does go deep, or even with some of the short passes that holding penalties are called on him, and maybe some of the PIs. Also, I want to see how he defends Jerry Jeudy because, as we all know with Jerry Jeudy, his route running is just so great. So, with the change of direction, I'm seeing, if Xavier Howard can also change with him and if he's able to kind of hold up in a lot of that press man. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yep. Yeah. Got Mike Eddy coming in. I think that's Eddie or Edel. I can't read it. Sorry. I should get my glasses. So old eyes are starting to fail me. Says, hey guys, great show. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Says, what was Mike Shanahan's record first year? It will take Peyton to implement a system and players. Go Broncos. It's a good point. So if his first year with the Raiders was 7-9, not very good. His first year with the Broncos was 8-8. So yeah, it does take a little while, although I will push back a little bit that Sean Payton took over a pretty miserable 3-13 Saints team and got him to 10-6 in the first year. So he has a record of turning it around, but you're right. It's going to take time to get the players in that fit his mentality, his way of thinking, his play, because it's all these players that have been in these other systems and coming up and have that attitude that they don't have, or the habit of losing, I should say. So you're right. We should be patient, but I'm going to just speak for all of Broncos country. I think we're tired of being patient. We've been patient for 7 years. And I think Broncos country wants to see some wins. We're starving for wins right now. And you're right. It will take a little time and hopefully not too long. What do you make of Mike's comment, Ron?
Yeah, thank you, Mike, for your generosity and the feedback. We greatly appreciate you, my man. And yeah, so I think well, we all kind of understood it was going to take a little time. I just didn't think that, or I think Broncos fans didn't think that we would be down 0-2. A lot of the little things has really cost us these two games. And you're right. It's going to take some time to get, you know, in Peyton's vision, this team the way he wants it to be. But, Mike, it goes back to kind of what we were saying earlier. I mean, do the players kind of want it for themselves? Again, we have to give some sort of accountability here, and they have to get out of this funk of losing. So until they can kind of get this accountability factor going and get out of this mentality of losing, it's going to be the same thing. Again, it is going to be on Sean Payton to kind of help turn it around, obviously, but there has to be accountability on the players as well to make the system work.
Yeah, thanks, Mike, for the support. We appreciate it very, very much. We love talking about football, but being able to have the support to do it is really amazing. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike.
Talking about support, Phil McLaughlin's always supporting us with Facebook stars, and he's in with some more Facebook stars. So thank you very much, Phil, for this. Phil's comment is, so I think this is the week we need a 60-40 run-pass ratio. Okay. Also want Gregory, Allen, and Benito to star. Now, I'm telling you, they should run the ball. And in fact, I went on a kind of a rant on Wednesday about changing their mentality, Ron. I posted just the clip out on Twitter, but it was basically Sean Payton, if he had the guts to come out and just tell everybody on Friday in his press conference that he's going to run it right down their throat and then go out and do it, would definitely help this mentality, right? To go say they're going to do it and then to go out and do it. Would flip a switch in their head. Go check it out. It's on Twitter, or go watch the Mile High Insiders with Luke Patterson. That's where I said it's early in that. But yeah, you're right. They need to impose their will in the running game, and they need to stick to it. And I would actually be happier with even a higher percentage, because two of my key players to watch are going to impact the running game: Javonte Williams and Chris Manhertz. And I know Chris Manhertz, he's like was a third stringer, and now he's the second stringer, but he's going to be important. I want to see him go out there and do what he's supposed to be good at, which is go out there and open holes, go out there and block and do it and open holes for Javonte. So I'm with you. And the other thing too, your comment's perfect. Zach Allen was wrecking practice, and he has been non-existent in these games. What happened to Zach Allen? That's all. Where is Zach Allen? What's going on? I mean, he's made a couple plays, but he's not a star by any means. They went out and paid the money to get him. He's supposed to be a star.
Yeah. Thank you, Phil, for coming in. And I agree, Phil, on both points. Again, as I said at the top of the show, committed to the run game. So with that in mind, a 60, 40, 70, 30 ratio when it comes to running. And then, of course, passing, that opens up that play action. And again, we saw Russ do well with that play action, from the run game. So I'm definitely right there with you. And the pressure on Tua, I preach every week, guys, pressure on the quarterback. So those three guys that you mentioned are going to have to step up. Again, we saw glimpses last week. So I need that to be consistent this week as well. But yeah, I think the defensive front for the Dolphins, Thomas, their interior, they're good at times, but I think there's opportunity for the Broncos to pound the rock.
Yep.
There's a lot of opportunity. And having Manhertz in there to kind of open up those holes, to let Pirine, Pookie, and McLaughlin eat. I think with that formula, the Broncos definitely have a chance.
That's right. We got Casey Nickel coming. He's coming in with a big super chat and giving you a shout out, Ron. This is awesome. Casey saying, sorry I'm late. Love you guys being on. Ron, we need to see more of you during the week. So he's saying you need to pick up another show somehow. I think it'd be tough. We got definitely have a lot of shows. I think we have one every week and almost every weeknight, and one almost every week morning. For I think only Wednesday, maybe the only day that we don't have a show in the morning as well. He's saying Denver will come out victorious tomorrow, 31-24 Broncos.
Mm.
You know what, Casey? I love it. I love it because I almost decided to go against my brain and go with my heart and say, you know what, they're going to sneak out a win. I just couldn't do it because they've not proven that they can. But I hope they do. I hope they come out and pull off the shocking upset. It would be wonderful. It would be great for Broncos country. We need it, especially people that really like the Buffaloes saw them get smacked around today. Broncos country needs it, right? They really need to have a win on Sunday. I hope you're right, Casey. What do you think, Ron? Are you gonna try and pick up another show?
I might, Casey. That's a good idea. May have to talk to the boss and see. But yeah, thank you, Casey, for your generosity. And thank you for the shout out. I appreciate you coming in. And I like your optimism. I hope Broncos are victorious tomorrow. It's again, that's why we're discussing these keys. The ball has to bounce the Broncos way on a few possessions. Again, they have to steal a few possessions. They have to stay committed to the running game. I think with all the things we're discussing, that 31-24 score that you have there may come true. But again, they have to go out and execute.
Absolutely. Naj is coming in with a super, man, this is great. It's just at the end of the show. People are coming in with these the support. Man, we really appreciate it. Much obliged, Naj. Totally. Thank you so much. And Naj says, hey, brothers, we really need the O and D lines to play to their contracts. Yes, absolutely. A lot of money has been allocated to those guys. We can't have them ranked at the bottom of their position groups. Time to man up and win in the trenches. Amen. Exactly. Go out there and do your job, man. You got paid a lot of money. Some of them are still on their rookie contract, but got paid a lot of money to bring in new offensive line players and a new defensive line player. And so far they have been underwhelming, and you cannot win if you can't win in the trenches. And so far we haven't seen it. When Lloyd Cushenberry is one of your best offensive line players so far, nothing against Lloyd Cushenberry. I want him to be a good player. I picked him to be better, but it says something about your other offensive linemen, right? They're underperforming. So Najee hit it right on the head, and Zach Allen has got to step up.
Yeah, thank you, Naj, for coming in, and I agree 1,000% on this comment. You hit the nail right on the head. We're overpaying a lot of these offensive linemen, but yeah, they're underperforming. Yeah. So yeah, you're right, Thomas. When Cushenberry is may I say it, the best offensive lineman, for that unit.
Close. I'd give it to Miners. He's close. He's second.
Yeah, Miners and So okay, we got Miners and then we have Cushenberry. So probably those two as your two best offensive linemen on this unit. There's a problem. So they have to execute better. And I know we're kind of almost at time, but one of the players I actually have two of our offensive linemen as players to watch. So
all right,
Lynchy, Ben Powers. They have to step up. I am tired of seeing Powers getting beat on a lot of plays, just having guys just outrun him. And then McGlinchey, he has held up somewhat, especially in the run blocking, but the penalties with McGlinchey. I know he had that false start and then the holding. So again, it's all about the mental and the execution. And if they can do that, if they can execute, Naj, I think that can set them up for success.
Yeah, I'm with you. They need to do it. they've got to do something different. Mike is coming back in with another super chat. Thank you again, Mike, with the support coming in and saying 1978 until 1996. Let's talk about suffering. LOL. Yeah, I mean, I will say this: the Broncos were good then. The suffering came because they couldn't win the Super Bowl, and I didn't see the 1977 Super Bowl, so I missed that. I was a little too young to remember it. My first Super Bowl memory really was, I think that I vividly remember is when the Raiders were in LA playing Washington in 83. That was my first really vivid Super Bowl memory. But yeah, I missed the 77 Bronco one. But I sat through those others. It was miserable. But they were still good. They were competitive. They got to Super Bowls. They had winning records. They very rarely had a losing record. We're on 6 straight years of losing records. That's suffering. And I would go back to being good and maybe getting to the Super Bowl not being great from what we've seen now. This has been terrible. So thanks for the support, Mike. Really, again, we appreciate it, and thanks for nostalgia purposes, making me think about the early days of the Broncos. I always love it because you can check it out on Legends of Mile High with me on Friday. Just talked about his history a lot on that. On that show, we talked about the Hall of Famers at the Broncos, the nominees. 16 players that have donned the orange and blue are nominated for the Hall of Fame. You can't claim all of them as Broncos, but a lot of them are, so it's good. So check that out if you want to talk history. If you've been watching the Broncos since 78, definitely check out that show. All right, Ron, we're getting close to the top of the hour. We should let's just quickly go through injuries, and then we'll do our predictions for stats and for the game. Unless we have some other really burning questions that come in. But injuries right now, Mike Purcell is questionable, so that hurts the defensive line, unfortunately. Simmons is out. Frank Clark, who was out last week, is out again. Everybody else who hasn't been moved to IR looks like they're ready to go. But unfortunately, there's a few people on IR, so that really does hurt the Broncos, especially on defense right now. They're definitely behind on the personnel department for sure. Okay, let's hear your first stat prediction. I've got 3 of them, so let's see. Have you lead it off?
Yes, I'll go with I'll do all my 3 stat predictions. So I have Cortland Sutton as my first. 9 receptions on 12 targets, 95 yards, and a touchdown. I think Cortland Sutton, needs to have one of these games because I think Jerry Judy's going to garner a lot of attention, so that will leave Sutton and Mims kind of open. The next one is Marvin Mims. I loved what he did last week. I think everyone loved what he was able to bring to the table with that receiving touchdown and on special teams. So Marvin Mims, 3 receptions, and he's going to catch all 3 of them. 120 receiving yards, showing that big playability with a touchdown. And then last but not least, Jaleel McLaughlin, one of the off-season gems for the Denver Broncos. I have him having 5 carries on 60 yards with no touchdowns. I honestly think from the running back group, Pookie will get the touchdown.
Yeah. All right. My predictions for the Broncos players: Javonte Williams going to have the big game, 25 carries, 110 yards, and a touchdown. If they don't feed him the ball, they're doing it wrong. And I think they realize that they're going to give him the ball, and he's going to go angry runs on these guys, right? He's going to grind it out in the middle, but he's going to have some good big runs, right? Yep. He's going to be, he looks good. He looks solid. They've taken it easy with him. It's time to have him carry the load. Because I want to see him start to carry the load, be that back that everybody loves. And it's not really time to this is crunch time now. I mean, if you go in 3, you're in trouble. Give him the ball, ride him out. I also think that I'm going with Judy this time. Not a huge star, but solid. He's gonna have 6 receptions, 85 yards, and a touchdown.
Okay.
It's gonna be an offensive fest. I think he's gonna get a touchdown. It's been a while since Judy's really come out and done anything spectacular. It's time for him to shine. I've been waiting for Cortland Sutton to do it. He just hasn't done it. So I guess Judy's the guy for me this week.
Okay.
And then I'm going with Wilson. Russell Wilson's going to have a decent day. It's going to be probably a shootout. That both defenses aren't that great, so they're going to score a lot of points. And I'm going with Russell Wilson, going 25 of 36, 280 yards, not spectacular, 2 touchdowns and an interception. So those are our predictions. We'll see if we get them right at the game. We've been pretty good. We've predicted pretty close. A few of them we've missed, but so far these first 2 weeks we've gotten pretty close on a lot of our predictions. So We got RD coming in with a $5 super. Thank you so much, RD, coming in at the end of the show. Really getting his prediction in here, saying Denver wins 34-28. We win tomorrow. Then just says we get a bit of hope we get blown out by the Bears. RD, that's a killer, man. Oh man, I can't. That would be awful. That would be very, very painful. And I hope it doesn't happen. I hope they can win both games. But yeah, that would be horrible, especially the state of affairs that the Bears are in right now. There's some turmoil going on over there. And yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I hope not, but I hope they win. I hope the Broncos win tomorrow. That would be spectacular because, like I said earlier, Ron, we need it. We need that win. Yes. Broncos country starving for a win. Ryan's coming in agreeing with me about Wilson's stats. That's great. Awesome. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that. I hope it comes out. He's been playing pretty good. Not great, not bad, pretty good. And, if you got enough opportunities with a weak defense, I think you can see him do pretty good.
Yes.
All right. What is your prediction for the game, Ron?
Prediction time. Get excited, guys. No, I'm kidding. So, as Thomas and I were talking even before the show started in the room, the Broncos are going to have their hands full. I think everyone knows that. This Miami team is loaded, even without Jalen Waddle. The Broncos are good enough on offense to go toe-to-toe with Miami. So I don't see the Broncos' issue as offense. I see it on defense. And I don't think that the Denver Broncos are good defensively to slow this Miami team down. So having said that, Thomas, I predicted that the Broncos will have their third loss on the season, unfortunately, with the final score being the Dolphins 42, the Broncos 30.
Okay. We got a few predictions coming into the chat. I'm trying to grab them and throw them up as they come in. We got I don't know how to pronounce that name. I'm sorry. But he's saying 26-27 Broncos. So we got a few people thinking the Broncos are going to pull off this upset. They're almost a full touchdown underdogs right now, and rightfully so, because they haven't played very good. The Dolphins are rolling. Definitely, it's just one of those things. We got Ryan's, he's coming in 34-21 Dolphins. We got Jerron's coming in 28-24. Todd 44 Dolphins, Broncos 28. We're getting a lot of predictions, a lot of wild ones, and that was pretty close to what I had to say, Todd. My prediction, even though I wanted to go, my heart's saying they're going to upset them for some reason. I don't know, but my mind is just saying no. You can't go with your heart, Tom. You've got to go with your brain on this one. The Dolphins are just the better team, and the Broncos do not know how to win. And so the final score is 41-34. Dolphins are going to take it. I think the score is going to look a little closer than it is, just because the Broncos defense has been so bad. They just cannot stop anybody, and that's going to be the problem. Broncos will score one late to make it respectable, but it's really going to be a rough outing for Broncos fans on Sunday, unfortunately. Yeah. All right. I just want to give a shout out to everyone in the chat. Thank you for being here. It's a Saturday night. We got college football on. I know it's hard to come in and on these nights when you can watch football instead of listen to us. So we really appreciate it. Very thankful for all of the support. It was very generous of everybody in the chat tonight. And I'm just going to give you one more reminder. Do not forget about the meet and greet. Come out and meet us. Week 7, Green Bay Packers. More details to come for sure. But we look forward to meeting with you, all you guys and gals that come in here and talk football with us. So it will be a fun time. So make sure you come out there. Ron, any final thoughts before we call it a night?
No, so again, thank you guys for tuning in. This was a great show. It was great to see, your comments, your questions, your predictions, and hopefully that I'm in Miami I'm the good luck charm to get the Broncos
Yeah, yeah,
eventually.
you're gonna be
so,
down there.
so I'm again. I know I had my prediction, but I'm really obviously I'm rooting for the Broncos to win.
Yeah.
But yeah. So again, enjoy the game tomorrow, everyone, um, and then we will speak next week.
I'm just gonna grab this because I wore my cowboy hat out
I've
to
seen it.
training camp, and then everybody said I should keep wearing it. So I wear it on Legends a Mile High. Maybe I'll start wearing it on this show. I don't know. We'll see. But I'll definitely wear it to the meet and greet, Orange Bucky for sure. I'll be wearing it. I am a cowboy. I grew up on a ranch. I kind of got away from that for a long time, but I'm kind of going back to my roots. I like wearing the cowboy hat, so maybe I'll bring it back. Ron, I'm going to be watching the game and I'm going to be looking for you. I hope you're out there. I hope you see they panned a Broncos fan cheering because the Broncos are beating the Miami Dolphins, and it's you, Ron, because that'll be awesome. I can't wait for it. But otherwise, again, thank you all for coming to the pregame show, the definitive Broncos pregame show is what I'm going to be calling it from now on, because we've been bringing you some good information. We've been pretty accurate. So that's why I'm going to start calling the definitive Broncos pregame show. But for Ron White and myself, thank you so much for being here on a Saturday night for the Broncos pregame. Have a great evening and a great weekend. And we will see you next Saturday for another pregame show. Thank you very
Go
much.
Broncos.